Hey guys, Cruising Angel here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm taking you on a small day trip to Griffith Quarry Park Museum. It's located in Penryn, California, just north of Sacramento. I took this trip in early January and it was cold outside. There's a lot of fog, but you'll see pretty quickly how fast it clears up. I'm heading towards Reno. One of the great things about this location is how close it is to home. I really wanted a simple local day trip. The fog here was thick, but just like that, it cleared up. We're taking the Penryn Road exit, and this park is not far off the freeway at all. If you're looking for an easy place to pull off just for the day, I highly recommend this spot. You'll see there's a park and ride to the left, but honestly, I'd skip that and check out the quarry instead. There's gas on both sides of the freeway, and there's a really good chicken place at that 76 gas station if you want to grab some food. From there, you'll head down a short distance and make a right onto Taylor Road. The park is only about half a mile up, so it's pretty incredibly accessible. As we approach the park, you'll notice a Beach Hut deli and a convenience store on the left. We'll turn right onto Rock Springs Road. And just like that, we're here. My van is just under 10 feet tall, so I had no problem clearing the trees. There were a few cars here, but plenty of space. Even if you have a bigger rig, you should be able to get in and out without any issues. Right across the street is that Beach Hut deli, which makes this a great lunch spot. I grabbed a big parking spot and started getting ready. So before getting out, I checked my surroundings and noticed people were starting to leave, which was perfect. I grabbed my cameras, and since it was about 50 degrees, which is freezing for California, I decided to leave my heater running so that the van would be warm when I got back. But you'll see later why I kind of regret that decision. I pass this place all the time, but honestly, I hadn't been here since I was a teenager. That's Kokomo, my van. I always like to grab a photo of her at each spot that I visit. I headed over to the sign to take some photos and wanted to mention that the museum itself is open on weekends from noon to 4. It's a really cute little building, and I'll show you the inside later in the video. As you can see, there were hardly any people here, and there's a lot of parking. I started walking around and checking out the informational signs. There's a lot of history here about the man who originally came to this site in the 1800s to extract granite. There's a trail map showing several routes, and I started with the Quarry Loop Trail. And later I'll explore some of the others, and I'll show you those as well as the museum. There is poison oak and signs warning about rattlesnakes. I didn't see any rattlesnakes, but I did spot poison oak, so I definitely recommend staying on the trails. There are picnic tables throughout the park, making it a great spot for families. I checked the water fountains. One didn't work, but I did find another that did. There are also interpretive panels with information about the Phoenician Native Americans, which I really appreciate. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly, though. The park has some great amenities, including picnic tables, water fountains, and restrooms. I didn't go inside the bathrooms, but since this is managed by the County Parks Department, I'd expect them to be maintained. I noticed a large pile of rocks off to the left. That caught my attention. I came back to that later and really enjoyed that trail as well. The Quarry Loop Trail is the one you'll want to take if you want the best views of the quarry itself. This massive hole is where the granite was extracted. I wouldn't call this an intermediate hike, but there are some steep sections. I'm not in the best shape and definitely felt it, but it was great exercise. There are railings in place, but there are still gaps. So I wouldn't recommend letting kids or dogs roam here unsupervised. Heights make me nervous, so I stayed back a bit. Once you reach the top, the views are incredible. Since it's January, there's water in the quarry, which made it even more striking. I love photographing trees, and you'll see some of those shots at the end of the video. That massive slab you see isn't concrete, it's granite. This is where much of the excavation happened. It's incredible to think they did this work in the 1800s with minimal equipment. I headed towards the back end of the trail and was very glad I wore boots. I wouldn't recommend regular tennis shoes for these inner paths. You could get by on easier loops, but good shoes make a big difference. Every direction you turn, the views are stunning. You could easily spend hours here if you are a photographer. I moved pretty quickly, but certain spots really stopped me in my tracks, especially where trees seem to grow straight out of the rocks. As I finished the loop and headed back down, I noticed houses bordering the park. Imagine having this landscape in your backyard. By this point, I was overheating. Big mistake wearing layers on this hike. Peeled them off and headed back to the parking lot because my mom called and said she was stopping by. After meeting up with her, we continued exploring more trails. Some of these paths are more accessible and could work for visitors with limited mobility. I even turned my heater on. Turn it off. Okay. We took a lower trail toward the east side of the property. This trail involves stairs and may be challenging for some. At one point, my mom pointed out a plant traditionally used to make soap, which was really interesting. This is where we first spotted what we thought might be poison oak. Let me know what you think in the comments. Some of the uphill sections were steep enough that I had to use my hands. We eventually reached an open space area that would be perfect for kids to play. We explored part of the inner trail, which takes you closer to the quarry water. It was steep and a bit sketchy, so we didn't go all the way. My mom shared that she used to come down here when she was a kid, and her sisters and brothers would play in here. I could not imagine. We did see kids running past us, so it's probably fine, but we decided to turn back. This area was stunning, with red rock, volcanic rock, and granite all in one place. We eventually headed back up and continued toward the main loop. Along the way, we saw this massive anchor used to move granite blocks, and it's hard to imagine how heavy those stones were. One of the coolest things I saw was this tree that had grown completely around a rock. Nature always amazes me. Finally, we made our way to the museum. Griffith, the man behind the quarry. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about him. He was born in 1823 in Wales. After working in quarries there and later in Massachusetts, he came to California during the gold rush and shifted his focus to granite quarrying. The town of Penryn here in California was named after the granite quarry that he worked at back in his hometown in Wales, though the spelling was changed. The original post office that was built, it still uses that old spelling with the H in it. Inside the museum, there's so much history, including original furniture, tools, and information about where this granite was used, including major buildings like the California State Capitol. It was transported by rail, and there was once a rail line right here on site. If you're visiting with kids, they would probably love this museum. There were so many rocks, artifacts, and hands-on things to look at. I'll leave you with some photos I took and images of the pamphlets and maps. I'm always looking for free, easy day trips where I can bring the van and enjoy a short hike. If you have any recommendations around California, please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.